Hello and welcome to today's webinar, Connect for Customer Care, Redeploy Amazon.com Tech to Improve Utility Customer Satisfaction. Brought to you by AWS Power and Utilities and hosted by Utility Dive. My name is Laura Beth Ezel, the moderator for Utility Dive's brand studio, and I'll be facilitating today's discussion. Before we get started, I have just a few housekeeping items. Please note that the slides will advance automatically throughout the presentation. To enlarge the slides, click the Enlarge Slides button that's located in the top right-hand corner of your presentation window. If you need technical assistance, click on the Help widget that's located on the bottom left corner of your console. Now, we'll also have about 15 minutes for questions. If you have a question for our experts, please submit your question in the Q&A widget on the left-hand side of your screen. You may send in your questions at any time during the presentation. We will collect these and address them during the Q&A session at the end of today's presentation. If we aren't able to address your question on today's webinar, we will respond by email. Finally, after the presentation, you will also be able to access the on-demand recording of the webinar using the same link from today's live event. Now, let me introduce you to today's experts. Ralph Kappelhoff, Worldwide Business Development Executive at AWS Power and Utilities. Joe Beer, Worldwide Technology Lead at AWS Power and Utilities. Robert Killery, Principal Business Development Manager and Specialized Expert of Outsourcing and Telecommunications at AWS. Adam Crabb, Experienced Design Director at Origin Energy. And Renee Kolschwski, Chief Information Officer at Lecker Energy GmbH. Thank you for joining us today. Well, we are excited to get started. Ralph, could you kick us off?
Yeah, sure. Thanks a lot for the introduction, Laura. Thank you for joining us, Connect for Customer Care webinar. In this case, Connect has kind of two meanings. One is connecting with your customers in the sense of having a digital user experience for the customer. The other is the technology called Amazon Connect. This is the technology that's been used for more than a decade by Amazon.com to create a digital user experience for its customers. This was released to the general public in March of 2017. And we now have two utilities, Origin and Lecker, that have gone live with the technology and have some real business results to talk about. So I think this will be interesting. You have a couple of videos, some real business results, a demo, and walk out of this understanding what the technology can do in the power and utilities industry. So if we talk about digital user experience, it takes the form of how customers want to engage with the utility. It's not how the utility wants to deal with their customer. And when you look at in general, the retail experience, customers have a bunch of different ways they deal with their retail suppliers. And for instance, my kids would deal primarily with their suppliers through apps and maybe a web page. People that work at home would have the kind of contact center experience. My wife more and more is looking at the chatbots and voice experience. But you notice phone is not kind of a common way. In fact, phone is one of the least common ways people like to deal with their suppliers. And so part of what we're talking about is how do we use the technology developed by Amazon.com to create that kind of digital user experience the customer's looking for, but creating it for the utilities. Now, there's a good business case behind this besides just the wanting to make your customers happier. If you look at the J.D. Power, which does the studies every year on CSAT for utilities, you can see on the top 8 reasons why you have year-to-year improvements in your CSAT score. Of course, there's the ability to restore the energy and the ability to provide energy. And some of the community efforts, but the reality is, 5 of the top 8 reasons, it has to do with customer experience. It's not to do with the energy delivery. It's satisfaction with the website, understanding the bill, helpfulness of the staff, ability to get energy savings ideas. So there's a bunch of things that fit into CSAT, and if you look at the graph on the right, there's some real bottom line business results from having high CSAT. Now this study here relates to regulated utilities, and so you can see the utilities in the bottom, third, second, and top quartile of CSAT, where they are in terms of return to shareholders. And you can see the top quartile is almost 50% higher than the bottom quartile. And this has to do, it's a death by 1,000 cuts. Little improvements in approval of rate cases, little improvements in your ability to recognize profit on capex. If you read the study, there's a bunch of different reasons for this, but high CSAT scoring regulated utilities just generally have much higher returns. Now, of course, if you're in an unregulated retail side, life is a lot tougher. You're basically looking at customer churn. If customer churn goes anything above 20%, typically you're not profitable. Your cost of customer acquisition now pretty much exceeds your ability to generate any profit from those customers. So what do we have with the contact center technology of Amazon? Well, one is, there's three big problems utilities have maintaining these high CSAT scores. One is it's really hard to predict how many people you need in your call center. You've got events that are cyclic, like billing events and such that you need to staff for, and that's pretty easy. But then you have the unpredictable events, the power outages. Very hard to staff for that. Once you move your contact center into the cloud, then you have basically scalability that you can scale up and scale down to meet these events. We already talked a little bit about the digital user engagement, but the second point, utilities are pretty focused on telephone communication, which is not the way most people deal with their suppliers. And where you really want to move to is a variety of inputs where you can ingest contact information from customers from wherever they are, and particularly digital. And last but not least is by using the phone, you really lose the possibility of doing a lot of personalization, because in the end, most of the data isn't digital. So really, by moving to a digital channel, now you can use AI/ML technology to then figure out what that particular customer needs and what's the next best action for that customer, and not do this a week later, but do this in real time while the customer's still in a communication channel with you. So we have now covered what I would call the business case for change, I hope. What is going to happen next is I'm going to show a short video, about a 24-second video, which shows Origin Energy's results, hard business results that they got from deployment of digital user engagement. Then Robert and Joe are going to talk about what you call the meat and potatoes of running a contact center. So ACD, IVR, costs, and then Origin is going to cap that off with a story of their journey from zero to having a fully deployed Connect deployment within their service territory. And then Robert's going to come and we're going to talk about the stuff that happens after. Once you got the IVR, ACD all moved up into the cloud and fully deployed, what are the other things you can do? How can you use Alexa for call deflection? What are the other integrations you can do? What are some of the back-end technologies being developed? And then we're going to cap this off with a great story from Lecker Energy from Germany about their deployment, and then we'll have a quick wrap-up. So with this, I'm going to play a quick video, and then once the video is over, Robert's going to come on to talk about Connect for Customer Care, the technology.
Origin has done fantastic in its digital journey. We've seen improvements like 170% increase in digital self-service. We've seen our sales rates through digital channels go up by almost 70%, which is a terrific result. But a lot of that goes to us being able to provide better functionality, better experience, but also serving out the right content to customers exactly when they need it.
Okay, so what I would like to do, this is Robert. I would like to discuss how we got here with Amazon and our customer obsession. When you look at Amazon, we strive to be the Earth's most customer-centric company. In doing that, we had to determine exactly how we were going to support our customers. We have millions of customers, dozens of languages across countries all over the world. At times, we have over 70,000 customer service associates taking care of our customers. When we look to have a platform to support that, we ran into a challenge in that the products in the marketplace just didn't meet our expectations for customer obsession. The tools that were out there were difficult to use, integrations were not easy, a lot of hidden fees and expenses in professional services, limitations on capacity because of hardware, and then the number one concern always of security, reliability, and scalability. Also dealing with complex pricing for the products. So after evaluating what was available and not finding something that we could trust our customers with, we decided to build it.
Anytime you interact with your customers, you want to delight them with a personalized experience. But creating a delightful experience with traditional on-premises contact centers is difficult. They're expensive to maintain, and it can take months to make even the simplest of changes. We realized this at Amazon.com. So we decided to build our own contact center, allowing us to better serve our customers. We scaled it to support millions of Amazon customers and over 1 billion unique customer interactions. And now we've made this technology available to you. Amazon Connect is an easy-to-use omnichannel cloud contact center, enabling you to seamlessly deliver dynamic, natural, and personalized experiences that enhance your customer service. Every customer interaction you create in Amazon Connect is immediately available across voice and chat channels without any duplication of effort, saving you time and money. You can easily introduce chatbots into your customer experiences by using the same natural language understanding technology that powers Alexa, and you don't have to be an engineer to do it. Now, your Amazon Connect contact center can deduce what your customers actually mean and not just the words they say or type. Behind the scenes, every conversation across every channel can be analyzed by AWS machine learning and artificial intelligence, allowing you to understand your customer conversations without having to manually audit every contact.
So Amazon Connect, as I said, is the service that we brought to market to enable our customers to have the same customer-obsessed satisfaction that we do with our customers. And we wanted to make sure that it allowed for a natural, dynamic, and personalized experience for your customers. Yes, it has all the standard functionality that contact center operations teams expect, but it goes beyond that. We have skills-based routing so that you can really personalize the customer experience and maximize the efficiency of your agents. And it's omnichannel. It brings you voice and chat together in the same platform, the same operating environments, and the ability to make the channel more of just an attribute than the key driving factor. All of your common reporting and analytics are available with it: service levels, handle time, agent performance. And the audio that the customers are getting, we hear compliments about that all the time. The agents, all they need is a supported browser and a USB headset, and they are good to go. Now, when we look at Amazon Connect, the key features that it supports are the skills-based routing, the different channels, and the analytics, as we said. At this point, I'd like to hand off to Joe so he can describe to you one of the hotlines that we've set up.
Thank you, Robert. What I'd like to do for everyone right now is to demonstrate a very common customer engagement experience in the utility world, and that's providing and collecting power status information. As you know, this is the highest volume of calls that any utility receives during a storm or natural event. And of course, you want the largest number of those calls to be handled automatically, and you do this via self-service IVR. With Amazon Connect, this can be built quite easily, and it will do the data dips into your backend systems, your customer care system, your OMS system, to provide and collect the information with customers. And because Amazon Connect runs in the cloud and has auto-scaling and redundancy built in, you never have to struggle with sizing the system to handle repeats of calls during storms, nor do you have to worry about a local natural disaster taking out your customer care, telephony, and chat capabilities. So this demo, while it is against a real system, a live system, it is recorded earlier. And you'll see it doing the data dips into the system, as I mentioned. So let's listen in as I give this a dial.
Hello, Joe Beer. Thank you for calling us Kite Energy. We have found your account and will now confirm the address associated with it. For privacy reasons, we will only repeat the street address number. It's the street address you are calling about. 10808. Simply say yes or no, or press 1 for yes, or 2 for no.
Yes.
Our systems show that the power is off at the address you confirmed, and that 12 locations in your area are also out. The estimated restoration time will be 2 hours. If you would like to report a different power status for this location, please press 1. If you would like to report or check status for a different location, press 2. If you would like to speak with an outage specialist, press 3. Otherwise, you may hang up.
You may be asking, why is that verification step in there? Well, there's several utilities that have asked for something like this because they want a way to have minimal verification without requiring their customers to remember an account number or PIN or other security measure that they're probably going to forget, not know, especially during times of stress like a hurricane or an ice storm. Of course, our call flows are data-driven, so you could easily make this configurable based on checking a data flag. In blue sky days, you could have this play normally. During a big storm, you could check a flag and then route around this verification step. So let's look at the next customer engagement experience. I'm going to call in again, but instead of checking my own number, I want to know what's happening at my mom's house, who lives on the other side of town. Now, she's elderly, so I help her with her bills, and I know that her phone number is tied to her account. And of course, being her son, I do know her address and phone number. So let's go ahead and give this a listen.
We have found your account and will now confirm the address associated. For privacy reasons, we will only repeat the street address number. Is the street address you are calling about 10808? Simply say yes or no, or press 1 for yes, or 2 for no.
No.
Okay, let's try another number. Please enter the 10-digit phone number associated with the service address you are calling about. We have found your account and will now confirm the address associated. For privacy reasons, we will only repeat the street address number. Is the street address you are calling about 9048? Simply say yes or no, or press 1 for yes, or 2 for no.
And the call flow continues in the same way as before. So you notice choice 1 at the end of this flow on the right, it goes off to what we call the outage reporting subflow. This is actually just another Amazon Connect call flow. And this ability to link, nest, and reuse the flows lets you design your interactive IVR applications in a very modularized way, unlike old school, old day IVRs, which are very big and monolithic. And this will make your maintenance and updates to the flows much easier in the future. Let's take a quick look at this subflow. I didn't record audio for this, but in a very large outage, it's very common for utilities' backend systems to not know exactly the status of every customer. They tend to get overwhelmed. You want to provide a way for your customers to provide, also to let them know that you're listening to them and that you're taking note of their actual situation. So in this flow here, they've heard from the IVR that the power is off, but they're sitting there with the lights on. It's actually on, and I'm going to tell you that. And then there'd be another branch in here to listen to them and record that it's off. And this significantly increases customer happiness because not only have they heard the ETR, the power is off, but if it's opposite, they know you have your act together and you're recording the information. So a lot of folks want to know, what does Amazon Connect cost? And it's a very simple pricing model that we employ. There's 3 pricing elements to Amazon Connect. There's a pennies per day fee for reserving a phone number, and we provide both EID and toll-free numbers. An example here, this uses a U.S. toll-free number. And then there's 2 usage charges. A usage charge for the telephony cost, which is also, pennies per minute, and the cost for actually using Connect. Now, this example here is based on a 4-minute phone call, which is average for what you'd find in your typical utility call center, and with an average agent being able to take about 50 calls a day. So this equates to $6 per agent per day for the actual cost of handling the call, plus that 6 cents per day for the phone number. Another question we typically get asked about is time to implement. Well, really the byline here is how fast do you want to go? You're really only constrained by your internal timing and resources. Building in Amazon Connect is very fast, extremely fast. In fact, we run a 1 hour hands-on lab for customers where they sit down and within 5 minutes, they're going from zero to saying hello to their first customer, literally. We also have workshops that we run. We do this at reInvent, where in 3 hours you can build a fully working IT help desk or a Lexbot for, say, human resources collecting time off requests. The other timing that people are often interested in is, well, how long does it take to do a proof of value, proof of concept project? It's usually a 1 to 3 week effort, and you'll hear some of our customers talk about that as well. It varies based on the scope and complexity, but our best practice recommendation is to start with a small, contained and well-known workflow like a help desk that you can easily get your arms around to start. So with that, that wraps up my segment, and I'll turn things over to Adam from Origin Energy.
Great. Thanks so much, and great to be here all the way from down under. Really just wanted to give you a bit of background about Origin, who we are, and take you through a proof of concept stage and what we've done, I guess, from going from zero to full deployment over the last sort of 9 months, I guess, and I'll take you through some of that. But to give you a bit of background, Origin is all about getting energy right for our customers, communities, and our planet. So we have a real obsession with getting things right for our customers. And you've heard earlier in here about the way people are interacting with their energy companies is really changing. So we're sort of in a position of having 4 million customers. So it's a really big customer base. Most of those customers interact with us through our telephony systems at the moment. So sort of 60% of our interactions. That's changing massively, as you heard John Briskin talk about. And telephony is a really big part of that still as we move into sort of digital shift as well. Origin, as I said, supplies gas and elect to lots of Australians, 4 million of them. And as I said, obsessed with customers. Our sort of we've been working, I guess, with Amazon since 2016 in a bunch of different ways, and really just pushing Connect, I guess, in the last 9 months and what it can do. So to give you an idea around the Smart Ivr, we really set out with a really strong purpose, and this is part of our vision, I guess, to create a powerful and simplified experience, but for our customers, but also our agents at the same time. What we've been able to do is leverage the capabilities within the AWS ecosystem to assist with that. And, you know, the tools that are provided within AWS have really allowed us to push our thinking, but also what we provide to customers and agents. Importantly, as you see down the bottom there, is we've, again, to use those words, have been really obsessed with simplifying our journeys as much as possible. And that helps us to empower our agents, but also really engage with our customers across the journey so that their interactions are as quick and seamless as possible, but also that they're getting a really similar experience they would have today when they call an agent, and it's really personalised. So that's been a really important part of setting up our journey and getting the team aligned to it, both Amazon and also Origin at the start. So having a really strong purpose has been really helpful, aligning to the purpose of the business. I'll give you a bit of a view now of how we've integrated IVR and some of the objectives for us. Origin is, you know, in a really competitive market, and so differentiating for us is really about customer experience. So supplying, you know, having wires and pipes and supplying gas and electricity. So I want to take you through how we've integrated voice into our objectives and what that's meant from an Origin perspective. As I mentioned, Origin has been sort of targeting some cost reduction, but at the same time delivering a best-in-class Net Promoter Score. As part of that, the Smart Ivr was really a key initiative to help enable some of those reductions, but also to help us think differently about how we engage with customers. I guess going back to some of the previous slides and commentary, around differentiating in this market is, we need to be, as we supply wires and pipes and electricity and gas to people, we need to be thinking about the interactions they have with us as well. What Amazon has allowed us to do is to introduce a foundational contact center capability, and I'll take you through that in a little more depth in the subsequent slides, but it's really been sort of underpinning everything we've been doing. The reason for going towards a new solution was that we had an end-of-life platform that we needed to be moving on from, and so that really drove us getting into a proof of concept and then getting into market as well, and we're able to do that on the Connect platform. We're really focused on reducing call transfers, so as I said, lots of calls coming into the call centre, lots of transfers happening within the call centre, not always to the right spots. So if we can automate some of that through NLU and other means, then that's really helpful and has proven to be. Improving agent efficiency goes without saying. So average handling times are really important to us. Some of our key interactions around moves journeys, so when someone's moving home, they're often really lengthy calls, up to 10 minutes. So anything we can do to improve that efficiency and get agents working on and looking at the higher quality calls, so things that people need more help with, and taking the simple calls out of the call centre has been really effective. Of course, enabling customer self-service is important to us, and you'll see some of the examples I talk through here. But key to that is, again, looking at some of those simple interactions, making sure that people still have a really high quality of call and engagement through those simple interactions as well. And importantly, last but not least, is a platform for future growth, and I'll talk about that as well. We see this as a starting point, and even though we're in market and releasing, literally had a release today and releasing as we speak, this is a platform for us to grow, and we're already talking about lots of interesting things that we can do to push the experience first, but also push the platform and the broader ecosystem within Amazon. I'll talk a little bit about the annual benefits, but needless to say that we've seen huge benefits already in cost reduction for our agent and growth in customer experience and our NPS, which is how we measure that at the moment. So that's been really satisfying, I guess, as you introduce new platforms. You often think about a dip in experience, but I think because we've been fastidious and really focused to the point of obsession on customer experience, that's helped us achieve that. So if I go back and talk about the journey so far, and this will just give you a bit of a view, I guess, of the speed at which we've been able to go from sort of infancy of the idea of how we're going to help customers through our telephony and reduce call volumes to releasing. We're almost in our third release now, which is internally, which is really interesting. So it's been a busy start to this year. But if I cast my eyes way back to April 2019, as I mentioned, one of our biggest call drivers is our moves journey, where people call up to move house. Out of that, we did a bunch of investigation, one of which was to ask people at the end of the call, which can be up to sort of 10 minutes in average handling time, whether they'd like to do this online and whether they see themselves being able to do this. Whether they see doing this through an automated system in future. And predominantly through our simple moves journeys, most people said yes. And that gave us this idea of being able to pull volume out and get agents working on high value calls. So we decided to run a proof of concept, and that's when we engaged with Amazon, and I'll talk you through that in a little bit more depth. And really that was about us validating the customer experience and some of the benefits based on this IVR technology, and would customers essentially enjoy the experience and start to engage with it. And I'll talk through some of that in a second. That obviously led us into a business case period as we mobilised teams with release one, where we started to look at one of our flows with a whitelisted group of customers. So a staggered release, I guess you'd call this. And then release 2 as we ramped up into our other self-service flows that exist at the moment in our telephony system. So for want of a better word, lift and shift with lots of simplification improvements. And then release 3, which is happening as we speak, and you probably sense a bit of tiredness in my voice, but as we move through these releases rapidly, we're looking at how we extend the capability into completely new flows. So we're sort of reinventing, I guess, the way we interact with customers, but the way they interact with us as well, which is the really exciting part. So you'll see it's been a really a quick process, I guess, from infancy through to getting something live into market. So I'll talk to you about the proof of concept because I think it's a really interesting piece. We focused on 3 particular use cases. So the first one was customer self-service, and as I said, to simplify these down is really we just wanted to see whether people were willing to undertake this for a plan extension in the IVR, in the platform. So we did a whole bunch of stuff in the background, connected systems, and with the help of Amazon, and quickly got this up in 3 weeks. And so lots of that being in the user experience side, lots of that was us around pushing Polly, which is the voice, within an inch of its life, I guess, to make it sound as we want, as authentic as it possibly could, but also wanted to test out whether our SAP technical integration could complete some of the fulfillment, as well as enable some simple authentication and ID as well. So that really got us through this target group. We had 81 unique callers in that. Overwhelming number of users completed the task at their first attempt, which was, really surprising, to be honest, to us, but a great success story. We had a whole bunch of people extend their product offering through that. So usually people need to call up, go through messaging with an agent, talk about the plan that they're going on. So lots of these people went through seamlessly to extend their existing plan, which was great. And importantly, customers at the end scored the process a 9 out of 10 for ease. So a real willingness for customers to do these simple interactions through this IVR journey with ease. So that was the first use case and proved to be really successful. If I jump to the next slide, the 2 other use cases, I won't talk as in depth to these, but digital deflection was one of the key areas, as I said, and also smart routing. With digital deflection, we really wanted to see what the adoption was. And so, again, really rapid turnaround to develop this. We had some outbound messaging that went to customers, prompting them to update their details, so their customer details, which is also a really common call driver for us. Because we're able to use existing phone numbers for authentication and then account number and date of birth, they were able to update their credit card expiry. Again, we had 101 unique callers from that correspondence that went out, and we were only targeting 50, which was really successful for us. A really high level of containment within the IVR as well. So containment, when we refer to that, is keeping people within the journey, not wanting to drop out and speak to an agent. So lots of that shouldn't be underestimated around how much is involved in the tailoring of the experience within Connect as well, to make sure people don't do that. So how you structure the call and the menu structure and those sorts of things. And we had 53 people out of those 101 unique callers update their expiry details through a Pearl that we provided to those customers as well. Smart routing was the other one, and I think this is coming home to play at the moment, which is really interesting about how we get people into the right area, not only from a customer perspective, but also if they're passed off to an agent, that we're not transferring calls all over the place. So smart routing is a really big one for us, and we're still looking at this as we sort of start to progress the platform further and further. So with this one, we try to prove out that natural language understanding would help us route calls in the right spot. And so we provided another cohort with a use case, which was, again, moving in in a certain time period, so moving into a new house. And we wanted to test if the IVR was able to identify whether it's what we call a simple or a complex move. So are you moving in the next 5 days, or are you moving in the next day, which is what we classify as a complex move. So literally that was what we were trying to get out of this as a simple use case. 78 unique callers for that. Customers' intent was successfully recognised 90% of the time. So again, really successful, and shows that we can route calls in the right way. So from the proof of concepts, they provided us with a really strong case that we could achieve some of the cost-saving opportunities through using the Connect platform. So a really strong case, as I mentioned. So I wanted to talk to you quickly now about the ODash. And so this is where we've been able to take and push the platform out of the box. So this is our soft phone solution, essentially. So now I'm talking about the agent experience per se. And we've been able to tailor the out-of-the-box solution from Amazon into something really authentically Origin. And so we spent a lot of time with our agents talking about what they would need in a soft phone experience. We've affectionately called it the ODash, Origin Dashboard, to help them best serve our customers. And so, as I said, we've tailored that to have customer authentication. So we pass that across from IVR. If someone drops out of the IVR at any stage, we pass across authentication. And that really helps with customers not having to repeat things, and agents also understanding the context of the call. Transfer history and IVR flow information, I sort of just talked about that, but providing context to agents has proven to be important, I guess, in the interaction, but also for customers, but also for agents when they start to talk about what's the next best action for a customer. So if that context is handed through, it's much more seamless. You'll see in there too on the screen that we've got a little highlight in red if you zoom in where we talk about the next best action. So and we're talking about that as sort of cross-sell and upsell opportunity for our calls. So if we know enough about a customer, we're feeding in from our customer hub, which is essentially a database of information about our customers, about what would be the next best action for those guys. And so agents are able to solve a problem, but also have a conversation with a customer that's very personalised and unique to them about what other opportunities there are to help serve them. So whether it be gas or electricity that they don't have, or that perhaps they're available they're ready for solar, or that there's opportunity for digital shifts. So if they don't have a My Account access, agents can help them through that as well. So this is really unique, I guess. This is sort of a bespoke piece for Origin, and we've been able to take the out-of-the-box solution and really push it quite far. We're still in the infancy of this and have grand plans for what we can do to surface a bunch more information around interaction history, holdings of gas or electricity, and so where they're connected, and a whole bunch of customer information. We've just interviewed agents on this, and have had a really strong response with a plus 15 NPS from an agent perspective, which is amazing considering the move in the last few weeks to sort of working from home. This has enabled our agents to not be stuck in the office. So it's also provided a degree of certainty for those guys around being able to still serve customers, but do that from their home. So moving from a hard phone to a soft phone has been a huge change in what we're doing. So we're continuing to build on this as we go. So we've got some future plans for evolving the customer and agent experience on the platform. And the first one around, and because we're obsessed by the customer, is really extending our self-service capabilities. I talked earlier about some of those that we moved across in our first release, which are existing capabilities now, and about to develop and release in the next few weeks a whole bunch of new self-service capabilities, and that's really going to provide customers with a great opportunity to interact with us in ways that they haven't before. Coupled with that is the agent experience. So because we're releasing those, it's obviously allowing agents to take calls that are more complex, and so we get a higher degree of satisfaction because customers aren't waiting for long periods, but also getting through to the call centre when they do need help. As I mentioned around the agent experience, we're really focused and obsessed with sort of recommending cross-sell and next best action conversations, linking customer information and resources across other systems. So I guess the beauty of the out-of-the-box solution for the soft phone is that we're able to integrate into SAP, Salesforce, a whole bunch of other systems, which has really been helpful. And we've already seen it, and it's continuing to happen, and we're continuing to push it. But that's increased adoption of our digital and self-service opportunities through My Account and app access as well. So we'll be extending those opportunities. On future capabilities, I guess, that sort of underpin the whole platform, we're also looking at Contact Lens, which will help with sort of workforce planning and directing the workforce in the right way, so who's looking after which calls at what times, etc. We're also working with the Poly team in Europe at the moment to really get an authentic Aussie voice, and so because we've been pushing that, we're sort of early adopters, I guess, and pushing the SSML a lot. They're working with us on creating a really authentic voice for the Australian market. So an Aussie English, Croc Dundee type thing. For those who think all Aussies speak like Croc Dundee. We really want to optimise our authentication as well. So we're pushing that heavily. And our personalised customer experience. So looking at voice and chat and what we can do on the platform in Amazon with that. So that gives you a really good view. I'm going to hand over now to Robert, who's going to take you through some of the platform and integration stuff.
Thank you, Adam. I'd like to cover briefly how we're able to accomplish the experiences that Joe and Adam have shown us. Contact flows, which you may know as IVRs, can use Lex to automate customer interaction and Lambda to gain insights from the customer systems and databases. The Contact Control Panel, or CCP, is how the agent experience is used to interact with the customer. After the call, we have call recordings, transcripts, agent KPIs, and contact metrics to allow you to really understand what has happened with the contact and the customer in their interaction with your company. Now, the contact flow engine, that is, as I said, it's the equivalent of the IVR, but it's so much more because it actually allows you to bring into the system all the other aspects that are going to enable this experience. AWS Lambda, which is how we do our integrations into other platforms and other data stores to get the information. If you look at this example here, as soon as somebody calls in, we're actually going out to the CRM to try and figure out who this person is. In this example, it's a travel example from one of the airlines. So once they know who the customer is, they're going right out to the flight booking system. From that, we can use Lex and talk to the customer in the personalized context of, we know that your flight was canceled and we're going to offer to rebook the flight for them. Because it's natural language understanding, they can propose an alternative, and through the Lambda connection into the flight booking system, it can actually confirm that option, initiate it for the customer, and then implement the seating for where they are. And then all this interaction is done using Amazon Poly, which gives you a very lifelike speech from the system for the customers to understand. Now, as Adam mentioned in their future plans, is Contact Lens. Contact Lens is actually new functionality that has been released for Amazon Connect that allows you to bring together a lot of the cognitive services of AWS to truly understand what is happening with your customer communications. You can do advanced search on things like keywords that were spoken by either the customer or the agent. analytics on sentiment analysis. At what points in the call was the customer happy, dissatisfied? Were there places where there was too much silence or the agent talking over the customer? You can also categorize all the contacts so that when your QA department or your quality assurance team wants to look at calls, they can focus on the ones that have exceptions to your goals or processes. And coming up in the contact lens roadmap are things like theme detection, where we can actually detect the theme of a conversation and utilize that in the analytics. Supervisor Assist, where real time during the call, you can actually notify the supervisor that something's happening. Maybe it was a keyword that was spoken or a very negative sentiment. And then all this information becomes immediately available after the call so that you can utilize it in the management of your contact center and in the improvement of your operations as you move forward. A lot of this is accomplished, as I said, using the AWS ecosystem and the services that we offer for customer experience. We talked about Amazon Connect, which is the core focus today, but we have Comprehend, natural language processing for sentiment, transcription, forecast, many different services from the customer experience portfolio, all of which become available to you with the implementation of Connect. Now, if we take a look here, a lot of what you want to do, Amazon is not going to have a service for it. We have over 200 services, and we continue to add to those based on customer demand. But we also have a very rich ecosystem of integration partners. These are partners that work with the platforms that they offer and that you may use in your environment, and they are already integrated into the Amazon Connect ecosystem. So let's say you're running Salesforce or SAP, then those platforms are already integrated. It is just a simple click the box, customize as you want to, and then move forward with those integrations. And you'll notice other key areas, workforce management, analytics, security, and biometrics, are all part of that rich ecosystem to allow you to focus on how you want your customer journey to happen and not the mechanics of the technology. Now, let me take Salesforce as an example. So when you look at Salesforce, you want the experience of the agent to be focused on the customer. And by simply going to either the Salesforce App Exchange or the AWS Marketplace, you can incorporate Amazon Connect into Salesforce. And it's a deep integration that covers all the different aspects that are key to your business. And you take that as your starting point and customize it if you want to. The simple part of it, it's all supported by AWS. You can pull it into your environment and then through your existing support structure with AWS, make sure things are happening exactly as you want them to. And again, everything is extensible. So what works for other customers is not going to work for you, but you have the ability to customize that and streamline based upon your business operations. Now, one of the things that often challenges people is internally developed systems. Again, you're going to have systems in your company that you have developed that are unique to your environment. The open architecture of Amazon Connect allows you to bring those into the system just like you would any of the major commercial systems. So if you have an internally developed system, maybe it's doing NISP extraction for your customers. You can pull that in just as you would any of the other systems out there, such as Salesforce. Okay. With that, I would like to turn over so we can hear about Lecker Energy.
Thank you. My name is René Kolczewski. I'm with Lecker Energy, and we are an electricity and gas retailer based in Berlin, Germany. We serve around 360,000 customers all over Germany. Most are private households and small or medium enterprises. Our motto is to become the most customer-friendly supplier of energy and more. We actually operate an in-house customer care center where around 50 agents per shift working in voice and text channels. The customer care center handles around 1,200 or 2,000 calls per day and around 600 mails, text messages, letters, even fax per day. We are an AWS customer since 2016. To understand our approach, it is helpful to know that we try to treat every customer call, every interaction as a sales opportunity. That's why our focus is to make the agent's work more efficient and smooth and even fun, so the agent can concentrate on customers' need. In 2018, we started with a pitch to rebuild our legacy ACD, the telephone system, in our call center. We were already in talks with several vendors when Amazon Connect became available in EU Central 1, that is the AWS region in Frankfurt, Germany, which we are using. We had short but intense discussions in our project team, and we decided to conduct a POC with Amazon Connect. Our goal was to build a simple but effective queue in Amazon Connect with enough functionality so that we can route real customer calls, in this case, calls from prospects to our agents. We considered Connect because it just works in the browser, so no additional hardware or software is needed beside a notebook or a headset. With Amazon Connect, there is a native integration into the AWS service portfolio. Most interesting for us are the machine learning and analytics services, but also into basic infrastructure services like S3. The broad support of AWS Lambda in every part of Amazon Connect makes it easy to integrate our CRM or other backend systems into the call flow. I have an example on the next slide. All these allows us to continue our way of automate everything to free agents from daunting and repetitive tasks. The POC was successful, so we decided to go for a full implementation of Amazon Connect. This implementation has started in autumn 2019, and we had our successful go live on beginning of March 2020, 5th of March. Our project was structured in phases. We are live with phase 1, which was a one-to-one migration from our legacy system, mostly one-to-one copy of the call flows. And with one exception, we added a functionality where a customer can, when there is a wait time longer than 2 minutes, that the customer can book a call back, and we call the customer back early as possible. Now the example with the integration. We have a backend system which is called LWFM. It's a load and workflow management system. Most agents in our customer care center are working multi-channel in voice and in text. That means they have to switch between answering customer calls and generating answers to written documents from customers like emails or text messages. The voice channel is handled by Amazon Connect. All emails, etc., are processed in a system called Reply One. It works that in a way that after any task, like a call or a finished email, the respective system, like Amazon Connect or Reply One, is calling our backend system, LWFM, to what the next task for the agent will be. If the agent needs to continue in a voice channel, or the agent needs to work in the text channel. This is done according to several KPIs, like amount of calls or documents waiting in the queue, number of available agents, etc. The agent is probably switched from Connect to Reply One or vice versa, or the agent stays in the system worked before. This integration is implemented with AWS Lambda using JavaScript, while the LWFM system itself is running on EC2. We are live since 1 month, with our phase 1 implementation, and I want to share some results. At first, the agents love to work with Amazon Connect. Handling is easy, it is fast, responsive. They have all customer information on one screen. We developed an internal screen where we show all the customer information needed for this call. The screen is automatically populated with customer data when we are able to identify the customer by caller ID. What was really important for us is the agents can work from home. That's how we could mitigate the consequences of the COVID-19 lockdown. So we had no productivity issues like shortened service hours or similar due to lockdown. What a surprise for us was we measured 8 to 10% better availability. That is a KPI which measures how fast we are able to accept a call or to get an agent to pick up a call. We didn't aim for that, so it was a kind of surprise. This needs verification over the coming weeks. Our agent as well as our customers noted a very good audio quality during the calls, a lot better than our old telephone system. Some of our next steps or next project phases, we want to improve. We have a process called quality control. So actually we have a team checking sample call recordings to assure that sales calls meet the legal requirements. The problem is we can only check a sample, a small number of calls manually. So we want to automate that to get 100% of coverage of quality control. We want to do that with AWS services transcribe to get a text representation from the call, from the voice recording, and comprehend to analyze this text to get the sentiment and intent of the customer. To then determine was it a sales call or not. We want to improve our call analysis. We want to automate and enhance our KPI system, integrate analytics results into our models for churn predictions, or to drive win-back campaigns. We have a process actually where agents have to classify and attribute the customer call after finishing the call. We plan to automate that again with AWS Comprehend. And we want to conduct a customer survey with Amazon Connect, where we actually plan for. These are the impressions and insights we gained through Amazon Connect project. Thank you.
Hey, that was great, Rene. Thank you. That was a great overview of the project. So as you saw, both Origin and Lecker Energy, they did a large part of this themselves. They also involved some ProServe people. If you're not feeling that hands-on with the technology, there's a number of what we call the Amazon Partner Network consulting partners. You see the 5 on the right there. They have a power utilities experience and expertise. So they've actually implemented Connect in these sorts of scenarios. The ones on the right there are other partners. They have a lot of experience with Connect, although not specifically in power and utilities. Next steps, there's a lot of stuff you get out of this. You've seen the self-configuration, the dynamic personal flows, open platform, the ecosystem. I think if you want to experience and test drive it, you just go on the website. You can take the tutorial. You'll probably have a system up and running in a couple of hours. If you're planning to deploy at scale, you really want to think hard about whether you need a certified partner that can come out and help you build all the interfaces to your back-end systems. Key is to get going. A lot of customers start with something internal like their IT help desk or a time off internal time off policy systems for HR. These are easy places to get started, fairly low risk, and then they scale up from there. So here's some contacts from the organization. There's myself and Joe from the Power Utilities team. Arun Shagal, if you're a partner watching this and you want to get in on the game, Arun can bring you in there. And if you want to connect directly with the Connect team, Yasser Al-Hagan is your best contact there for that activity. So now I turn it back over to Laura Beth for a short Q&A session.
All right, fascinating. Thank you all so much. We do have just a few minutes we want to get some questions in here for you, so we're going to get right to that. Question 1, what is digital user engagement versus just having a good contact center? Adam, I think this question will be for you.
Yeah, I sort of don't see them as a, thanks firstly for handing off, and great question. I firstly don't see them as separate or versus each other. I think they coexist, and the way we look at the sort of digital user engagement versus the contact center is sort of from an omnichannel perspective. So when I think about Connect and the platform and how we're using it, and I talked about the agent and the user experience. And so, for instance, if a customer dials in and they do end up in an agent, I think it's important to have a really good contact center experience and agents who know enough about the customer, the context of the call, to be able to help that customer as well. So it's really seamless for those guys. We are obsessed with our digital shift and our digital engagement, but really conscious that people still pick up the phone to call us, still want to interact with us through chat or other means. So I guess the best way of looking at it from my perspective is that it's a really omni-channel experience, so they should really coexist, and a platform like Connect allows that to happen, especially as part of the ecosystem. So we certainly look at it from an omni-channel perspective and not versus each other, but complementary.
Great, Adam. Thank you so much for taking on that question from our audience. We've got some more questions, but I wanted to stop just for a second before our next question and ask our audience to take a moment here. You can give us your opinion on today's webinar. We've got a poll up here, so if you will just, while we're going to the next questions, take the time to answer that poll for us that you see here on our screen. We would appreciate that. Next question, how long does it take to get or port a phone number? Robert, could you handle that question?
Absolutely. So getting a phone number is actually done directly inside of the Amazon Connect, and it can be done in seconds. You go in, choose whether you want a toll-free number or a direct dial, choose the area code or pattern that you want for it, and then once you claim that number, within 60 seconds, it's up and running, and you can call it and see the calls come into your contact center. Now, porting numbers, we absolutely support. In the United States, it usually takes about 2 weeks to port a number, and that is based upon the current carrier or the losing carrier and their process time. We have fully incorporated the porting process into AWS support, and they handle it and move it forward as quickly as the other carrier allows. For international porting, we do support this, but a couple of caveats I want to make sure you're aware of. First is, in some countries, regulations or contracts prevent porting of numbers. There's also other restrictions as far as blocks of numbers, et cetera. So wherever we can port a number internationally, we will do it for you, and we will do it again at the rate of speed that's possible with the carrier that we're working with.
Perfect. Thank you so much, guys, for jumping in on those questions and your presentation today. A big thank you, of course, to our audience for joining us. As a reminder, today's webinar will be available on demand, and a link will be sent to you after this webinar. Have a great day, everyone.